Have you ever been in a restaurant and saw a picture hanging on the wall of somebody and thought, I wonder who that is, or whatever happened to them? Well, that happens to us all the time. And in this video, I'm going to show you how and what I was able to find out about the guys in this picture. I'm James Daugherty.
And I'm Alicia.
And we love to find pictures and relics of people from the past and retell their story at least one more time.
So we had lunch at Zaxby's and couldn't help but notice a group photo on the wall. And like most decorations, there were no names. 8 young guys on a basketball team posing for a group photo. Normally, something like this would be very tedious to figure out, but that wasn't a problem this time.
And we were able to figure out the stories of pretty much everybody in this picture. And one of them you're definitely going to want to stick around for. Let's just say World War II was a very bumpy time for a lot of people, including one of the guys in this picture. So let's start with the school name. On their jerseys, it says College Grove. Now, we know exactly where that is, and it's not too far from the Zaxby's restaurant that we found this in, which was in Franklin. And did you know that you can actually find stats and player reports on high school games from your state high school association website? You probably already knew that. But did you know that some of those results can go way back? And in this case, the ball that's in front of them says Champs 1929, which is nearly 100 years ago and kind of a long shot. But check this out. We can go to the TSSAA-sports.com website and at the top click History. In the search bar, we type College Grove and look. Boys basketball has a 1929 result. Let's see what happens when we click details.
But first, if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. We also have shirts and coffee mugs in the YouTube shop down below. And if there's a particular color or item you'd like to see in the shop, leave a comment.
Now that that's out of the way, let's see what the TSSAA website has about the 1929 championship basketball team. And it's nearly an identical group photo and clearly from the same time frame. And this one is labeled. The order is a little different, but that's not a problem. We can match the faces pretty easily. These guys all have fairly distinct features, so it shouldn't be too difficult. This game was a huge deal because it was the first and last time College Grove went to a state championship game. So the papers ran with it. And they gave, of course, a almost play-by-play breakdown of the game itself. And the winners of the winning team, like the members, were given individual gold basketballs by the presenter, Professor N.W. Daugherty. No relation. No relation to us. And a large silver basketball trophy was given to the school. And it's actually in the photo from Zaxby's. In the original one that we saw, it's sitting down right in front of the guys. You can see it right here. And of course, I wondered if we could track that thing down.
Where's that trophy?
Where is it? Like, I want to see it in person. So I took off on a little adventure to find it because this website says that it was on display at the school. Well, College Grove no longer has a high school. So where did all those trophies and awards and ribbons and whatnot go? The best shot we have is either a local library or the local like gym kind of area. They usually have things like that from around the town on display. So
community center.
Yeah. In this case, College Grove has a community center named after R.L. Windrow, who was actually the principal of the school at the time. So they named the gym after him. So I took off looking for the trophy, and I'll let you know what I found here in just a little bit. Stick around for that. First up, we have Charles Hubert Young. Charles was the star player of the game. He scored 17 of their 34 points. And after high school, he went on to MTSU, or Middle Tennessee State University. It was called a teacher's college back then, but still same thing. And go Blue Raiders. Check that out. And he graduated in 1934. In 1940, he is an educational advisor in Monroe County. He married Jewel Irons later that year. They had 2 kids. But unfortunately, Charles died at only 45 years old in 1956. And I think the game was, of course, a big deal because his obituary mentions that he was a great basketball player and even mentions the 1929 championship.
Next is Hamp Thomas. Hamp Thomas was born in 1912, and like his teammate Charles, Hamp also went on to MTSU. He graduated in 1936. A few years later, he went into World War II as a warrant officer. He promoted from private to staff sergeant. Soon after he got out of the war, he married Miss Robbie Whittick in 1947. They never had kids that we can tell. On the 1950 census, he and his wife are living in Nashville. He's working as a refrigerator salesman while she is an elementary school teacher. Hamp died in 1976 and left no kids behind. He and Robbie are not buried together. I'm not sure why, but there's probably a pretty good reason.
Mabry Covington. He was the team manager / coach. His family was kind of a big deal in town, having started the only bank and all. And I guess with a name like Covington, it's kind of required to start a bank in the early 1900s. And his dad was the one and only physician in town and was responsible for bringing the telephone to the area. So that was kind of neat. His family was no slackers. Born in 1885, Mabry got a lot done with his time on Earth. He was his town's first bank cashier, and he worked there for decades, and later became a member of its board of directors. Meanwhile, he became a state senator in the 1943 General Assembly and as a state representative in 1945 and 1951. He represented his civil district in the Williamson County Court for 32 years. He was the secretary of the Williamson County Election Commission, chairman of the Williamson County Hospital Committee, and a member of the Williamson County Farm Bureau. And I got all that from his obituary. And you know what else it mentions amongst all of those lifelong achievements?
The championship game.
The basketball game. He married his wife Estelle in 1917, and she died just a few years before he did. And they had one son.
Albert Wilson. Albert's age and birth year is a little wonky. His draft card says he was born in 1909, as does his grave marker. But here we go with another genealogy tip. People lied about their age.
All the time.
Still do. Sometimes they needed to be 1 year older for some specific situation, and the number stuck. Albert's family is on the 1910 census, but he isn't. Then in 1920, he's listed as 9. But if he was born in 1909, he should be 11. Same thing in 1930. He's 19, but he should be 21. At some point, his birth date changed. Does it matter to us or family researchers? No, not really. I'm just making the point that you can't always trust birth dates. He married his wife Mary in 1941. She became a teacher at the same school he grew up in. Mary died in 1978. Albert passed 10 years later. They had one daughter.
William Dink Scales. Born William de Mumbrian Scales to Risdon and Margaret Scales in 1911. A bunch of interesting names.
Yeah.
A few months later after the game, he is working as a laborer for the highway. His father died in 1932 from an acoustic neuroma, or tumor, and his mother a couple years later from chronic nephritis, which is a pretty bad kidney issue. Soon after, he married Lula Britton in 1935, and together they had 2 daughters. Now, I'll pull up our last guy, Albert Wilson's wife, because remember, she was a teacher at their old school. And look who is on the exact same page. Mrs. William Dink Scales. They were teachers together. Small town.
Gotta love them.
Mm-hmm. Dink was driving a gas truck in 1940, and then a school bus in 1950. Probably at the same school and the same time that his wife was a school teacher, so that's kind of neat. But sometime after that, he became an electrician, because that's what his obituary says he was doing when he retired. William died in 1987, and his wife Lula lived all the way to 2010. She was 97.
Wow.
Yeah, Haynes Brinkley, he was the other coach that was there, the older guy. But I couldn't find anything about him in any of the school yearbooks, and he wasn't really, I couldn't confirm him being on any of the census or find a grave. I don't know, the guy just kind of dropped in and out of records. So if you feel like checking him out, see what you can find and leave a comment down below. James Long. Now, buckle up for this guy. The son of Walter and Ethel, born in 1911. His dad was a farmer, like pretty much everyone else in the area, and his mom kept the house. Shortly after the game in 1930, he doesn't have an occupation, which probably means he helped on the family farm. Then in 1934, he married Allie Lee Hardison. And here's something a little different on their marriage license. It's a permission slip. Usually this was needed when one of the kids getting married wasn't 18 for the girl or 21 for the boy. She was right around 18 or 19, so I'm not sure why her parents had to provide a release letter. But they weathered the Depression in Nashville, and James was a stationary engineer at a hospital, which means he worked in the boiler room, while Allie worked in a beauty salon, but they divorced in 1942. And then also in 1942, James marries someone named Lucy Simpson. But James went off to war and served on the aircraft carrier, the USS Franklin, in the Pacific. Now, if there are any World War II history buffs watching this video, then you might already know what's about to happen next. In 1944, it was hit by a kamikaze pilot. There were actually two planes. One of them missed the carrier and the other one was a direct hit. This attack killed 56 men when the plane penetrated the flight deck and all the way into the galley below. And based on the military records I was able to find about James on fold3.com, he was on board for this attack and the next one, which was even worse. On March 19th, 1945, while participating in an attack on the Japanese mainland off the coast of Okinawa, a single Japanese dive bomber dropped out of the clouds where it was hiding away from radar and dropped two massive charges directly into the Franklin. Roughly 800 men were killed, making it one of the greatest loss of life of any U.S. ship that was not sunk. Because it did not sink, it limped back to Pearl Harbor and was repaired enough to sail back home. Crazy, because there was 3,000 people on board, and James was there, witnessed all of it, and dealt with it, and survived. That's pretty much a miracle, and I could spend an entire episode talking about something like this.
He could.
But we move on. James survived all that and saw some horrible things, and he went back home, where he lived with Lucy in Nashville, all the way until 1981, when he died at about 70 years old. They left two sons. His obituary lists his pallbearers, and look who's there. Mr. Albert Wilson, his buddy from high school who played with him at that game. You good?
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of got me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they were lifelong friends.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Millard Lamb. Millard was a little older than the other guys. He is approximately 21 years old here. This wasn't a super common thing, but it was more common than it is now. It happened more because people's school years would get delayed or put on pause. You had flu epidemics, going off to World War I, or having to work on the farm or work in general. Various reasons made people have to go back to school a little later. Millard has a delayed birth certificate. And if you aren't familiar with what that is, it is a way people created birth certificates after the mid-1930s when they became a national thing. A few months after the game, Millard moved to Dade County in Florida, where he is working as a milkman, driving the truck around, dropping off milk. In 1940, he's back in Nashville and married to Mary Alice Taylor. We couldn't find any available record indicating he went to World War II. But in 1950, They are living with Mary's mom. But apparently Mary had a... I'm not saying that.
Gotcha. Say it. Say the line.
But apparently Mary had a little lamb and named her Nancy. Millard is working at a dry cleaner. Millard died in 1975.
Robert Sanford. Robert's story, unfortunately, didn't continue much farther past the game. He did get married in the 1930s, but died from tuberculosis in 1939. He left no children. And this is a diagnosis that genealogists and family historians come across all the time. And it's easy to be like, oh, yeah, okay, it was TB or consumption. It was tuberculosis. And you thumb through, after you've thumbed through hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of death certificates, and you see that word pop up so many times, it's easy to kind of take it for granted. But I don't know. When you see pictures of people and you understand that they had full-blown lives, it kind of sinks in a little bit harder.
Thomas Hatcher. Thomas was born in Franklin, Tennessee, where we found this picture the day that we were eating lunch after we went to the museum. In 1930, he's only 17 and living with his aunt and uncle. At first, we weren't sure where his parents were, but we found them living in Detroit working in the auto industry, which was a pretty volatile time in 1930. We're guessing he didn't go with them when they moved to either finish school or to finish their undefeated basketball season. He joined them later around 1935, but then he bounces up to Jamestown County, New York, where he married Loretta Beatty in 1936. He is the proprietor of a grocery store, and his father-in-law manages a retail grocery and furniture store. Possibly they worked together. In 1950, they are still living with his father-in-law, who seems to be retired, but Thomas is now the cabinet maker in a furniture factory, which could be something that he possibly learned from his father-in-law. Thomas and Loretta have 3 kids. Thomas died in 1994 at 82 years old. Loretta died 7 years later in 2001.
So I wanted to see the basketball trophy in person, and allegedly it's hanging out on display at the R.L. Windrow Gymnasium in College Grove. So I stopped by. I go inside. It's unlocked early in the morning. It was like 7:30 in the morning. And I found some guys sitting around, and I couldn't find the display case. And they asked me what I needed, and I said, can you guys tell me where the trophy is for the 1929 championship? And one of them said, why? You going to steal it? I said, I don't know. How nice is it?
I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
That's what it feels like. It's what it feels like when I do this stuff. When we go to look for the actual relics of the past of these stories, it feels like a treasure hunt. And that's what this was. Well, one of the guys that works there jumped up, and he said, oh, yeah, right this way. And he walks me down the hallway, unlocks some doors, and we go into this big auditorium, and there it is. And it's pretty cool that they still have it. And this is funny. He was able to tell me a little bit about it, because not only did these boys win the state championship, but they also went to nationals. Of course, the next step is the nationals game. And they had to go to Chicago for this, where they won 2 games. However, they were defeated on the 3rd game, and they were knocked out of the contest. I think Texas won. But the gentleman who got me in there said, do you know the story, the legend of how they didn't get to nationals, about why they lost that 3rd game? And I said, no, but you should tell me. And he said, so apparently when they got back, the excuse they gave for losing that 3rd game was because after game 2, which they won, they got a little too drunk. From partying.
Oh, no.
And the next day, they were all just way too hungover to perform well. And so they lost that game, and they were kicked out of the championship.
Well.
Of course, that's a legend that's 100 years old from a school that doesn't exist anymore. So, take it for what you will. But I thought that was a really cool little tidbit. Those are the kinds of things that you only get from people on the ground that are from these areas, because The newspaper didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's wild to think about what these guys must have felt like 100 years ago during their record-setting run of an undefeated season, and being the last time that their school would win a state championship. Not that they could have known that, but we have the gift of hindsight while doing these stories. It's easy to look at pictures and tombstones and whatnot and not give the people in them a second thought. And that's why we do these videos, because we want to give these people a second thought and hopefully share a little bit of their legacy in the process.